Okay, let me tell you, my life went from a rom-com to a full-blown drama in the span of 2 weeks, 14 days. That's how long I was married before my world imploded. We're talking unopened wedding gifts still piled in the living room. I'm still trying to process how this is real. Let's rewind a bit. I'm a structural engineer, 30 years old. I design skyscrapers, big commercial jobs. Been at it for 8 years, and despite the insane hours, I genuinely love it. Emma, my ex-wife, that still sounds weird to say, is or was a wildlife veterinarian. She's 28. Our meet cute was actually pretty good. An injured hawk turned up at one of my construction sites. My site manager, bless his heart, called the local wildlife center. In walks Emma, hair a bit wild, boots caked in mud, looking like she'd taken a wrong turn into a hard hat zone. But the way she handled that hawk? Pure magic. So calm, so confident. She knew exactly what she was doing. We got to chatting while she worked, and I found out she was new to the city. Smoothly, I offered to show her around. Surprisingly, she said yes. One date led to another, and bam, 3 years flew by. Life felt perfect. Sure, we had the usual tiny squabbles, whose turn it was for laundry, my late nights at work, but we were solid. She got my crazy schedule, and I got her mission to save every critter in a 50-mile radius. Our apartment sometimes felt more like an animal rehab center. We once had a 3-legged raccoon as a temporary guest in our spare bathroom. Good times. We wanted the same things. Kids eventually, a house with a yard, definitely dogs, a given with her job. We even shared a mutual hatred for cilantro and a love for true crime. Looking back, maybe it was too perfect. The wedding was her dream. A fancy vineyard ceremony. It cost a fortune, took me a year to save for, but seeing her smile, worth every penny. Her dad, a tough-looking ex-military guy, all tattoos and stoicism, actually teared up walking her down the aisle. Never thought I'd see that. My college buddies flew in, even Kyle, my best friend, who'd been working on a massive project in Dubai. He'd actually tried to warn me about some off vibes he got from Emma. I brushed it off. Idiot. Love really is blind, isn't it? The ceremony itself was beautiful, I guess. Emma had micromanaged every detail for months. Flowers, music, specific wine from a vineyard we'd visited. Calligraphy on place cards that cost more than my first car. My mom kept saying it was the most beautiful wedding she'd ever seen. The reception was a blast. Great band, everyone dancing. Emma's Aussie cousins taught us some wild drinking game. I remember our first dance, looking at Emma, feeling like the luckiest guy alive. This was it. The start of forever. Our honeymoon in Bali was incredible. 6 months of overtime went into that trip, but it was Emma's dream destination. We got back, still in that newlywed bubble, calling each other husband and wife. Just for kicks, our rings feeling new and important. Emma even mentioned trying for a baby next year. Everything was great, for exactly 14 days. Then, things got weird. And not just a little weird. Emma started acting like a completely different person. The red flags were there, waving frantically, but I was too busy to see them. First, the phone. Before the wedding, I was the one getting grief for checking work emails. Suddenly, she was the one glued to her screen, hiding it under the table, texting constantly. If I walked in, she'd flip it over or quickly switch apps. My naive self thought maybe she was planning a surprise. Then came the late nights at the wildlife center. She'd always had occasional emergencies, but this felt different. An injured eagle needing overnight monitoring, a hurt fox. But her stories started to unravel. One night, she claimed a late-night fox emergency. I saw on the center's Instagram they'd released that same fox that morning. Still, denial is a powerful thing. I was swamped with a challenging 50-story building project downtown. Ironically, it was an expansion for Ryan's hospital. That's probably how his name even came back into our orbit. Around this time, her best friend Olivia started hanging around our place a lot more. Olivia, 32, twice divorced, a new boyfriend every other week, and a connoisseur of drama. Her Instagram bio was literally, "If you can't handle me at my worst," you get the picture. She and Emma got close at the wildlife center where Olivia was a receptionist. I never liked her. Something about her just felt off. Later, James, Emma's brother, told me Olivia had tried to get my number when I first met Emma. Guess she held a grudge. I'd overhear Olivia and Emma whispering, their voices dropping if I entered the room. Once I caught Olivia saying, "You deserve to be happy. You can't help how you feel." Poison, pure and simple. The morning it all blew up is seared into my memory. I was in my home office, up since 5 a.m., wrestling with some complex foundation plans. Emma walked in around 11 a.m., still in pajamas, looking like she hadn't slept. She sat on the office couch and just started sobbing, that raw, ugly, crying where words are mangled. My first thought? Someone died. Turns out, Olivia had convinced Emma to meet her ex, Ryan, a few days prior. They'd apparently been texting for weeks. Ryan wasn't just any ex. He was her college sweetheart, the one she dated for 4 years, before he left for Doctors Without Borders. Now he was back, a trauma surgeon at the local hospital. And he'd told Emma he'd made a mistake leaving her, that he still had feelings. Instead of shutting that down, Emma was sitting there, a mess of tears, telling me she was confused, that Olivia helped her realize she had unresolved feelings she needed to explore. She actually said she owed it to herself to figure out if she still loved Ryan before fully committing to our marriage. Our marriage. The thank you cards weren't even in the mail. She tried to spin it like she was doing me a favor. I need to be sure about us so we don't end up divorced in 5 years with kids. I just stared, speechless. Olivia had played her perfectly, casually mentioning Ryan was back, showing Emma his social media. Classic manipulation. And then, instead of begging or pleading, which I think she expected, I started laughing. Not a happy laugh, but the kind that escapes when something is so utterly absurd. It's almost comical. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Then I did something that surprised even myself. I opened my laptop, Googled best divorce lawyers in our city, and started making calls. Right there. Emma freaked. "What are you doing?" I said I needed time to think, not that I wanted a divorce. I looked her straight in the eye. "No, what you need is to get out of my house." Not my finest hour, but I was running on fumes and my life was imploding. She cried harder, saying I was unfair, that I didn't understand how complicated it was. Ryan was my first love. I need to know if there's still something there. I'll always wonder what if. That's when I snapped. You know what's not complicated? Marriage vows. You either meant them or you didn't. Clearly you didn't. She tried to flip it, saying I was controlling, unsupportive. Olivia said any man who truly loved me would understand and give me space. Oh, Olivia. I pulled up our wedding video. On my phone, had to scroll past hundreds of honeymoon pics, and made her watch herself promising to forsake all others. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? She went quiet. Then she suggested counseling. We can work through this. The only thing I need to work through, I said, is finding a good lawyer. Then, the bombshell. Ryan's just coming off a 36-hour shift, she said, her voice small. He said I could come stay with him while we figure this out. Bags, packed, in her car. She'd been planning this, moving stuff out while I was working my tail off. An exit strategy, orchestrated with her ex. I wish I could say I stayed calm. I didn't. I started going through wedding gifts, making 2 piles. She's not getting, and she can have. Real mature. I called Kyle in Dubai. He was on the next flight, a true friend. Emma said I was being dramatic. I reminded her she brought her ex and her toxic bestie into our 2-week-old marriage. The next few hours were a blur of her crying, explaining, then getting angry at my lack of understanding. Understanding what? That my wife was about to shack up with her ex and wanted my blessing? She kept saying, I still love you, and, my personal favorite, you'll always be special to me. Like she was dumping a high school boyfriend. I gave her an ultimatum, cut all contact with Ryan and we maybe try. Or leave, and we're done. Why does it have to be so black and white? She asked. That was it. Get out, I told her. And don't come back. She actually tried to hug me. The audacity. I just walked away. The sound of her car pulling away, while our wedding card sat on the counter, is a sound I'll never forget. I got blackout drunk with Kyle on the patio that night, deleted all my social media, called in sick for the first time in 3 years. The next morning, hungover, Kyle and I were trying to figure out the next move when there's this aggressive pounding on the door. Cop style. I braced myself for Emma. Nope. It was her dad, Mike, 6'4", covered in military tats, looks like he could bench press a small car. Ex-Marine, runs a successful security company. He'd always been cool, but seeing him there? Terrifying. I expected a fist to the face. Instead, he just looked at me, then at Kyle, and said, "My daughter's an idiot. Got any coffee?" Turns out, Emma had called her mom, spinning a tale of me being cruel and unreasonable. Mom bought it. But Mike? Not a chance. The three of us sat in my kitchen, coffee and Jack Daniels, as Mike told us he never liked Ryan. Said Ryan had actually cheated on Emma back in college. Emma never knew. Her friend told Mike, but they kept it from her. So, my wife left me for a guy who cheated on her, and she had no idea. You can't make this stuff up. Mike even recommended my divorce lawyer, same guy he'd used. The next few days were a mess. My boss was surprisingly understanding about needing time off from the skyscraper project. His first wife had pulled something similar. 2 weeks, paid leave. The house felt like a wedding exploded. Gifts, cards, photos. Finding our marriage certificate in a pile of mail nearly broke me. Emma's younger brother James, who works at my firm, came by to get some of her things. Poor kid. Caught in the middle. He said Emma was at Ryan's, acting like a different person, posting inspirational quotes on Instagram about following your heart. Family dynamics went sideways. Emma's mom was Team Emma. Mike and James were Team me. Meanwhile, Olivia was trashing my name at the wildlife center, saying I was emotionally unavailable. Some of Emma's co-workers, people I thought were friends, unfollowed me online. But then, karma started to stir. Remember that hospital project for Ryan's workplace? My boss immediately assigned a new project manager due to the conflict of interest. Ryan apparently threw a tantrum about potential delays. Financially, it was a nightmare. We'd just combined accounts. I froze everything. Thank God we hadn't bought a house yet. The condo was mine, pre-Emma. Emma called a few times, long, rambling. Voicemails about still caring, hoping we could be friends. Yeah, no. Her dad kept me in the loop. Emma and Ryan were playing happy couple all over town. Then the real kicker. James found texts between Emma and Ryan dating back months, some from the week before our wedding. My own brother-in-law had to deliver that gut punch. That's when something shifted. I threw myself into work. That skyscraper foundation design, it ended up saving the client millions. My boss fast-tracked my promotion to senior project lead. Meanwhile, Emma's fantasy started to crumble. James, still working with me, relayed that living with Ryan wasn't the dream she'd envisioned. He was a workaholic, ironic, right? Messy and still acted like a frat boy. Katie, a senior vet at the Wildlife Center and Emma's former mentor, reached out. Disgusted by Emma's behavior, she became my informant. Apparently, Olivia had been playing both sides, pushing Emma towards Ryan while simultaneously trying to get information on Ryan for herself. She wanted Emma to feel the sting of being passed over, just like Olivia felt when I chose Emma. Emma caught Olivia and Ryan having lunch. Olivia's response? Well, you were married when you started talking to Ryan, so what's the difference? Chef's kiss. Katie sent me a screenshot. Emma crying in the break room because Ryan forgot their 1-month anniversary. You left your husband for this guy, and you're upset about a 1-month milestone? James told me he saw Emma at their parents'. She looked different. Expensive clothes, but tired and sad. She tried to hug him, said she missed me, missed our life. Ryan wasn't who she thought. He just walked away. The old me might have caved. The new me hit a new deadlift PR that night. Then, a headhunter called. Massive project in Singapore, eco-friendly skyscraper. They wanted me to lead. 2-year contract, 7 figures, full relocation. I said yes without a second thought. When the news spread, Emma showed up at my office, hysterical. You can't leave! I'm confused! Maybe I made a mistake. Sounds like a you problem, I said, turning back to my blueprints. Priceless. One of Ryan's colleagues saw her meltdown and told him. Ryan, insecure as ever, blew up Emma's phone. The hypocrisy. And here's the kicker. While Ryan was losing it over Emma talking to me, Olivia was blowing up his phone. They'd been having lunch meetings in his office while Emma was at work. Steve, the guy who took over the hospital project, saw them constantly. He kept me updated, even sent photos. The woman who helped Emma destroy our marriage was making moves on her new guy. Emma found out at Ryan's birthday dinner she'd meticulously planned. Olivia drunk texted Ryan about missing their lunch meetings and hoping Emma didn't check his second phone. Yes, a second phone for Olivia. Classy Emma stormed out. Called her mom on a cruise. Called her dad, who basically said, "You made your bed." Called James, working late with me. I'd just gotten him promoted. Finally, she called me. Midnight. Crying about Ryan, her mistake, how she never should have left. Voicemail. Forwarded to my lawyer. The next day at the Wildlife Center was epic. Emma and Olivia had a screaming match in the break room. Katie recorded it. Ryan showed up, tried to play peacemaker. Olivia, that viper, looked Emma dead in the eye. At least I waited until he was single, unlike some people. Security was called. Emma and Olivia written up. Ryan escorted out. Beautiful chaos. My firm threw a huge farewell party for me. Rooftop bar. James helped plan it, kept it quiet from his family. But Emma found out, probably via Olivia. The party was great. I was feeling good, visa approved, new apartment in Singapore sorted. Around 10 p.m. Emma shows up. In the dress she wore on our first date, the one I said made me fall for her. Dramatic entrance planned, clearly. Security stopped her, not on the list. James rushed over. Dude, Emma's here, making a scene. Lobby. Emma crying, mascara everywhere. Trying to reason with security. She sees me, launches into how she made a mistake. Ryan meant nothing. She wants to come to Singapore with me. In front of half my co-workers. She'd even bought a plane ticket to Singapore for the next week, planning to show up at my new place. Stalker much? You need help, I said. Professional help. Went back to the party. She tried to follow. Security. Grabbed her. She's screaming about how I never loved her. Kyle stepped in. One mistake? You mean texting your ex before the wedding? Moving in with him 2 weeks after? Those mistakes? Emma crumpled. Then, Ryan walks by the building with a new nurse on his arm. Sees Emma's meltdown, looks mortified, and keeps walking. The look on Emma's face almost felt bad. She left a letter. Kyle picked it up. Later, drunk, we read pages of her rewriting history, casting herself as the victim. Airport. 4 a.m. for a 6 a.m. flight. Emma's there, with luggage, and her dad. She thought she was pulling a rom-com airport grand gesture, planning to convince me to take her back mid-flight to Dubai. That's all she could afford a ticket for. Mike, absolute legend, was there to stop her. Emma starts her rehearsed speech, pulls out a photo album. Us, the wedding. Thought it would make me forget. I walked around her to check in. She starts crying. I'll prove my love. I'll follow you. Mike grabs her suitcase. The only place you're following anyone is back home. You're embarrassing yourself, and me. Emma shut up so fast. Then, Sarah, the architect from the Singapore firm, walks up. She was on my flight. Big hug. Ready for our dinner plans in Singapore? Emma's face. Brain short-circuited. You're already dating? I thought what we had was special. What we had was special, I said finally. And you traded it for a fantasy with a guy who's already moved on. That's on you. Mike practically dragged her away. Emma crying about how cruel I was for moving on. First class bump. Drinks with Sarah, great conversation. We have dinner tomorrow. Landed in Singapore a few hours ago. The new place is insane. City views, private pool. Mike texted, Emma's agreed to serious therapy. Moved home. Quit her job. Ryan, engaged to the nurse after 2 months. Good luck with that. Olivia, fired, working at some sketchy private zoo. Looking out at the Singapore skyline. Life feels good. Biggest project of my career starts tomorrow. Date with a gorgeous architect next weekend. Kyle and James, more my brother now, are joining me here soon. Sometimes the worst train wrecks clear the path for the best journeys. To everyone who said hit the gym, focus on myself, you were right. And Emma, if you're reading this, I know. You check my throwaways. I hope you figure it out, but I won't be there to see it. Time for my new chapter.